I don't care how you view China, but I care deeply how you view dictatorship as a form of government. If you believe TikTok ban is an infringement of your freedom, then you should look for inspirations from countries that have more freedom than you, instead those who have less. Some of you guys are so gullible. I shouldn't even use the word gullible because it's not like people on RedNote are trying to deceive you. It's you who are trying to seek weird shit to believe. Like this guy.
The entire US propaganda machine, it's just completely shattered. It's broken. Not only that, but someone was just talking about watching a grocery haul on Redbook and how they couldn't believe how much groceries that these Chinese citizens had because they can afford groceries.
You seriously believe people in China have higher purchasing power? Like, this guy is not talking about the trend or the growth rate or the potential or something. He's talking about the snapshot of the current living standard. Like, do you know America's average meat consumption is twice as high as China's? Well, of course, you guys are definitely eating too much meat. We should have a chat about it, but not today. And do you know the size of average houses in America is 3 times as large as China's? Again, I'm not saying it's good. You don't need all that space to hoard your stupid shit. You don't need a whole fucking shelf for guns. But that's besides the point. Numbers are numbers. You can't seriously argue that Americans have a lower living standard. That's against every macroeconomic parameter you can find. The Human Development Index, the income, the consumption, you name it. And do you know how many Chinese citizens risk their lives to cross the Mexican border into the US? These are all public data. Check them out. Some people say healthcare. Oh my god. Visit some public hospitals in China, especially those in small cities. I fucking dare you. Right now, there's a heated discussion in China about the utter unavailability of imported medicine, because the government decided to centralize medicine procurement, and they basically forced doctors to prescribe low purity domestic drugs. Some patients are literally freaking out right now because they can't keep their blood pressure down. You don't believe me? Ask someone on RedNote. I mean, if you want to admire China's growth rate, which is also sort of debatable, you can check out my YouTube discussions. But admiring that growth rate is understandable. At least it makes intuitive sense. But these people aren't talking about the growth rate. They're talking about the snapshots of China's current living standards. They think they found the truth just because they watched some RedNote short videos. Oh my god, wait until you find that thing called Instagram. You'll probably think every white person in their 30s spend their weekends on a fucking yacht or something. This is 2025. How can you still not realize that social media ain't real? Especially social media in a country where saying certain things can get you in prison. America has a lot of poverty, sure. But the kind of poverty China has is something that your little bourgeois mind can't even conceive. These kids, they have to go to school by rock climbing. So this picture on the right is a new, safer ladder they built after receiving some extra donations. And it's still scary. Why can't they just move to some other places? Well, Google Hukou system. If they move somewhere outside of their designated hereditary residential areas, they won't even be admitted to school. You heard it right. Your school attendance zones are largely hereditary. This is a kid who has ice all over his head every day when he arrives in school on foot. And this is an old lady who carried her disabled granddaughter to school every goddamn day. When you complain you don't have money to upgrade your iPhone, shouldn't you take a minute to appreciate the real hardship and grit? When you say something like China is out of poverty, it's sort of like you are spitting on these people's faces. Again, I'm not saying you should not go to RedNote. Life is hard enough, just do whatever that makes you happy. But one thing I have to keep reminding you whenever I have a chance is that dictatorship is not the answer to your well-being. I don't care how you view China, but I care deeply how you view dictatorship as a form of government. If you believe TikTok ban is an infringement of your freedom, then you should look for inspirations from countries that have more freedom than you, instead those who have less. That logic is simple, right? In the last few years, I've come across so many Americans who believe that dictatorship is not all that bad because look at China.
Thank you, Chairman Mao. Thank you, President Xi.
How much do you think those people will resist if someone tries to install a one-party system in the US? Well, my guess is not much. It's even scarier that this guy repeatedly used China as a positive example to justify his desire for unlimited power. If you really want to protect your freedom, learn from these South Koreans who got on the streets at the first sign of dictatorship. That's what you need to prepare for in the next 4 years. The videos from China can be fun, but they are way too filtered to teach you anything about political movement. Finally, if you really want to understand China, I have 2 suggestions. Firstly, go there and visit someone's house. Don't just stare at the skyline. Chat someone up and ask them if you can visit their place. And secondly, remember the districts in Hunger Games, right? Don't just stay in the capital, it's lame. Ask your cab drivers to drop you off at some small towns along the highway and take a walk. It will be eye-opening.